So I've played a little bit of Lost Soul Side. I haven't beaten it. This was a game I've really been looking forward to, and I kind of want to talk about. Usually, I only talk about games that I've actually beaten, but sometimes, whether it's like a demo, that's coming out for an upcoming game or something like that. If I just want to talk about something, I will talk about it. And this is something that I got duped a little bit. um, some of the gameplay you're seeing here is like very early in, like not even the first hour, I don't think. Um, But essentially, I'm a big fan of action games, like stylish, sort of like hack and slash, like, Ninja Gaidens, Bayonettas, Metal Gear Rising. I'm not like the biggest fan of, but, it's sort of in that same genre, obviously, like Devil May Cry, all that type of stuff. That's my wheelhouse. I like to think I'm okay at them. I'm pretty good at them, and I just like the combat and stuff like that. And when it comes to this game, I saw it got revealed, and it does very much so look like a little bit of an uninspired Final Fantasy, Korean MMO looking like game. But in the trailers, the combat looked really good and it looked flashy. It had cool environments, so I was really looking forward to it. And on top of that, it was like $60, which is still full priced. I'm aware. But in this economy, that's how I rationalized it. I was like, it's $60. It looks good. And I think I should have played the demo. I probably should have watched some trailers before picking it up because this game, I can't believe this has been in development for almost 10 years. I know I don't know the scope of the actual team. I know it was started by one guy, um, and I believe now that there is like a full team behind it. What that entails, not really sure. I know it doesn't have the scope and budget of a mainline Sony game, but this is something that Sony was backing as part of their Project China, or is that what it's called? Like I know they have stuff like Korea and I think even India and stuff like that. Like propping up creators from different regions to try and get stuff going. And I think that's a really cool initiative. So I wanted to support that. And this game has a lot of issues. So most of what you're seeing here is going to be just quick combat. Obviously I suck because I just started playing the game. But the first thing that I realized um, is just the general quality of the game. It does not match what it's very clearly trying to do. So it has this sort of Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 remake aesthetic to it. It's trying to go for that high fidelity look, but the animations and voice acting and essentially everything else does not match that. The characters are like, obviously I'm not a game dev, so I'm not using the correct terms here probably, but like the rigging on the characters is very weird. Hands are always hovering, like a character will raise his arm and his like elbow or his shoulder won't animate with it. The face acting and lip syncing is very unnatural and very weird looking, and that usually would not be a problem, but because this game is trying to go for that very high quality, like I said, Final Fantasy um, look to it, it's very noticeable when the other aspects of the game don't match that. And it's like, I mean, you're gonna see some cutscenes here, like just the way his arms are sort of dangling. The camera angles are just like nauseating. Um, like their fingers never bend unless they really need to. Like I don't know. I know that's like very nitpicky, but that's also compounded by the fact that the story itself just sucks. So you have this overall presentation that is really lackluster, um, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to notice. Now, this game is very clearly focused on the combat, and it's okay. It's fun. You can get through kind of almost anything just by mashing and dodging. But coming from even something like Final Fantasy 16, which was relatively like vapid and very easy, that's my main complaint with the game. I'm someone who actually really likes Final Fantasy 16. But it is so fucking easy. Like I wish Final Fantasy mode and the new game plus style things were available from the start. Like that would make that game go up like a whole point for me straight up. Um, and here it's sort of a similar thing where they sort of just throw a bunch of stuff at you. You can sort of just mash the same combos over and over again. At least from what I've played so far, which is like 3 or 4 hours. And there really isn't going to be too much of a challenge here. Now, obviously, I'm sure it gets harder but it doesn't seem like there was a clear focus here. There's also, going back to animations, a lot of the like there's just a lot of shit going on. Like there's so many particles, all over the place with every move that it can be very easy to lose track of what's going on, especially when you're fighting, five, six, however many guys at once. Um, Weird things like just turning around. Sometimes your character will like glitch and clip back and forth just by trying to turn the character around. When you're running, there's this weird like it jolts the camera back and forth. It is just so unpolished. And I think that is mainly due to a lack of resources. So I don't want to be like hard on the developers in that sense. But I think if that was the case, and obviously I don't know what goes into all this, and maybe this is something that wasn't even possible, but like I think an art style change could have really helped with this because this is very clearly trying to be Final Fantasy VII Remake, trying to be Final Fantasy 15. Um, and they just don't have the resources for that. So maybe if this game was like cartoony or something, that would not be noticeable. Something that would be noticeable no matter what, though, is the voice acting. This is maybe some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard in my life. You can't hear the audio right now because I accidentally messed up and recorded stuff over this. But I had it on Japanese voice acting because that was like just the most tolerable. There's English, Japanese, and Chinese. I think it's Chinese, and the English in Chinese just does not sound good at all. I'm sure the Japanese probably also sounds bad if you speak Japanese. Obviously, I don't. Um, but yeah, it is just bad, man. And that's sort of the crux of the issue here is you have some okay, flashy, pretty decently fun combat, but it's mushed in between just this super unpolished, super weird looking, like, not to be oh, it's like a PS2 game, but it literally does feel like a PS2 game that was remastered for like in the early PS4 generation. That's what it really does feel like to play this game. Um and I'm sure a lot of people are going to play the combat and have a good time with it, and that's fine. There were definitely moments where I was sort of getting in the groove and I was like, okay, this is fun, but then it would try and do a cutscene or something like that, and it would just completely be like, Jesus Christ. Like, I think this is a game that you can find it for like $10. Give it a shot, but anything more than that, and who knows, maybe there'll be patches where they smooth things up. But I think a lot of these issues are at the core of the game, and it would almost need like a full makeover, which I don't see happening. Um, but like the environments are pretty. There are moments here where I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for, but I just don't think they have the resources to do that, which is unfortunate. This is like a 5 out of 10. I don't really rate games, but yeah, it's middle of the road, very whatever. I'm sure there are people that will defend this game or whatever, but I just a little disappointing.